Yes, the recording process, then show. Hi, everyone. Hi. Kindly mute yourself. And when you want to talk to me, just raise your hand and then unmute. So you need to talk to me because I don't have the chat box. If you have any questions, just raise your hand and then start talking. But first of all, can you hear me well? And can you see my slide? Yes? Good. So let's see if I can see that pop-up box here too. Can you type yes? Let me see if I can see it. No. So talk to me. No, it doesn't. I don't know what's the problem. Anyhow, I will handle it. Okay. Today we want to talk about speaking skill, but conversation activities. You know, in TESOL, there is you have a module about how to teach speaking and how to teach conversation. So you are going to write 2 lesson plans. One for I mean, it's more than one, but the one assignment for conversation activities and the other for speaking. Today, we're going to focus on conversation activities. But before starting, let me introduce myself and you know more about me. My name is Elham Isagi, and it's all about me. So guys, look at the picture and guess, what can you get about me? My hobbies, where I live, my work experience, my education. Can you guess? So you need to talk because I cannot see the chat box.
You like coffee, I think.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite dessert. Yeah, that's it. Very good.
Like to
What else?
travel?
I like traveling. Yes. I have been to 15 countries so far. Yep.
Which city is
To be a
that?
chocolate
I
addict.
can't tell.
Toronto, yes. I do live in Toronto. Yep.
Doctor degree?
You like to be
Um,
active?
Sorry, I didn't get two people to talk. I couldn't get it to you. Would you kindly repeat what you said?
I said you like to be active?
Yes, that is the only sport I do actually, strolling and walking. One day I will go to the gym, but I don't know when that day comes, but one day I will. Yes, I go for jogging every day.
You have 3 degrees.
Exactly. I have 3 masters, educational psychology, curriculum designing, and public health. And I got my TESOL
2017.
master, yeah, in 2017. Yep. What else? What two? What two goes to?
Maybe you have 2 kids.
Exactly. I have a daughter and a son. I have 2 children. And can you guess about my work experience?
5 years.
Yeah, exactly. I've been teaching language for 25 years and 10 years as an international trainer. Very good in guessing. And the last picture is I love surfing and the internet. Yes, I learned a lot. So it's good to introduce yourself to your students, even for the first session of your class. Usually people like to know who is teaching to them. But definitely we share something very general, okay? Very general. Definitely we never share our personal things with our students. Okay. And what is the second step? Know your students. When I say know your students, what do I mean? What should you know about your students?
their cultural background and
Mhm.
their current level of the language.
Okay.
How they like to learn, I guess.
Mhm. Oh, okay.
Why they are
Well,
there?
what do you mean, am I right, Mosh? Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. So what do you mean by that question? How do you like to learn, or what
As
do you
in
like to learn?
as in the best way they learn, as in their learning styles. Maybe they like to
Mhm.
watch things, or they read if they're auditory, or they have to hands-on approach, the sort of approach you use to meet their needs, basically.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Someone else was talking.
I said the reason why they are there.
Oh, okay. What is the aim of the study? Thank you very much, Hussein. Anything else?
Or their experience or exposure to the new language.
Mm-hmm. Is it their foreign language or second language, you mean, Roti? Am I right?
The language they're trying to learn, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Also, it's good to know about their hobbies and interests. What do they like? Okay, what do they do in their free time? Because if you want to ask them to talk and engage in different activities in the class, it's better it goes around their interests and hobbies. Most people, most of your students like music, for example, or they like movies, or maybe they're a fan of kind of sports like basketball, soccer, or something, or they are housewives. They like cooking and they like to talk about stores and shopping, or they're businessmen. They like to talk about stocks and business. So it's good to know about their interests and hobbies. So when you want to design activities, it's much better goes around their interests. When you talk about their interests and hobbies, they will engage in the activity. Otherwise, they're just going to be good listeners.
Yeah, I hope I can come to Vancouver soon, but probably not that soon.
Tanya, would you please mute your microphone?
Think about it because it makes me sad. Yeah, give it was a big, big hug.
Are you muted, teacher?
Oh, I'm mute. Can you hear me now?
For a few seconds, it's all set now.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Good. So how can you know about their interests and hobbies? What kind of activity you can think about? Because if you want to ask each one, okay, you tell me about your interests, what do you do in your free time? Well, what about your hobbies? It takes a long time. Just imagine you have 10 students, so it's very time consuming. Any other activities to know your students better?
With the help of questionnaires or surveys.
Oh, very good, Leila. Good. You can make a survey. Bravo, bravo. Thank you. That's it. Or you can ask your students to interview each other and ask some general questions like their nickname, date of birth, I mean, what day and which month, and where do they live in your online classes. Maybe they come from different countries, okay? Where do they live, and then what's their favorite dish, or what do they do in their free time, so they can interview. In this way, you engage your students and boost up the rapport in your class. They know about each other. So they interview each other and then they report it to the class. Okay. I interviewed Catherine. Catherine lives in Vancouver. She likes swimming. She goes swimming 2 times a week and these things. So interviewing works. Also, you can have a game. So in your face-to-face classes, you can say you have 10 minutes to interview people or 5 minutes to interview the students, your classmates. Let's see how many, and here is the list of the questions, how many students you can interview in 5 minutes. So they're going to be fast and ask each other. Or another could be, you put them in groups, in breakouts in your online classes. You put them in groups, in breakouts, 5 people in each group, and they have to interview each other. After 5 minutes, you get all the students into the main hall in your online platform. And so let's see how many people have talked in that 5 minutes. So out of 5, 4 people could talk, or 3 people, or 2 people. So that would be fun too. Just make it a little bit different and fun for your students. So these are the way. Even you can think about other ways how to know your students better. Any questions so far?
No, thanks.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So here is the list. I would like to introduce my friend, and then they talk about the things that they ask. It's good to put the questions or make the list for your students. Otherwise, they're going to ask different questions, and it's very hard to handle it. So always make it a list. As your friend Leila said, you can make a questionnaire or make a survey, or even put some words like this: nickname, birthday, place of birth, family members, education, hobbies, or job experience on the board. And so I want you to ask these questions from your friends. So for the first session, number 1, you introduce yourself. Number 2, you know your students. Now, what else? Let's focus on conversation activities. Okay? When you want to teach conversation activities, it's not only the lines of the conversation. If you want to have a natural conversation, what other features or what other issues you need to teach to your students or they need to consider to have a natural conversation?
Maybe like tone of voice.
Mm-hmm. Very good, Crystal. Can you give us an example?
Like for someone who's just learning how to speak English, maybe someone asks them like, "How are you?" and they say, "I'm fine." You know, as an interpretation, it could be that they're not fine. But if they say like, "I'm fine," you know, even though it's fine, it can have 2 different meanings depending on the influx of your voice.
Bravo. Exactly. Thank you. Tone of voice. What else?
Eye contact. Some cultures don't like eye contact.
Good. Thank you. Yes. What other aspects of body language is important in making natural conversation? Eye contact is one of them. That's true.
And gestures, maybe.
Very good to say. Like,
Thumb up, thumb down,
mm-hmm, or shaking your head.
shaking or
Yeah.
nodding or
Yeah,
shrugging.
exactly. Yeah, that's it.
And as long as the speaking goes, other than body language, I think pronunciation or accuracy, fluency, it will be important, I think, when it
Of
comes to
course.
speaking.
Of course. Of course. Very good. Thank you. So it could be gestures, as you said. There's some gestures. But it's good to introduce to the students if your students are foreign students, because body language, do you think it's the same in all cultures?
Not necessarily.
No, they're not. For example, in English, I'm a North American. When they want to say no, they say no. Okay. But I know in Middle East, they say no. Yeah. So it's different. I mean, yeah, we do have different gestures. Okay. And also facial expressions, Facial expressions. The important too, posture. Yeah. And as your friend said, tonality is also important. Just go to work, and definitely fluency. So fluency, it's like talking without hesitation, without pauses. Okay. Like some students that when they want to talk, they say, I went to school yesterday. And so, with hesitations. So there are different exercises, and we need to practice with our students to talk fluently through repetitions or through different activities that we're going to talk, or shadowing. I mean, there are different activities we will talk. So fluency is also important. And in fluency, your attention as a teacher is more to meaning and context and less concerned with grammatical errors. Okay? So, like children, when they will start to speak for their first language, do you correct their grammar?
No.
Of course not. We just want them to talk, and we try to understand what they are saying. They can make conversation, and sometimes it's meaningful, but the grammar instructors, no, they are not correct. But it's fine because we want them to speak. So the same thing happened to our students. Our first focus is on fluency. We just want them to speak the language, either French, Spanish, Arabic, English, or any other, or Chinese, any other languages. We just want them to speak. So the first concern is on fluency. Then when they become a bit fluent, you start to correct them. So you work on accuracy. So in accuracy, teachers concentrate on correct structures, and they help their students to produce grammatically correct spoken English. So what happened in lower levels, like beginners, starters, elementaries, even pre-intermediate, our focus is on fluency more than accuracy. But in higher levels, like intermediate, upper intermediate, advanced, definitely your focus is on accuracy. Are you familiar with these expressions like A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2? What level are they? When I say A1, what level I mean? It's based on CEFR, Common European Framework of Reference. So if you see the language books from Oxford, Cambridge, and the back of the cover, you see it said A1, A2, B1, B2, or C1, C2. So let's review. So A1 refers to what level?
A1 is the beginner level?
Elementary. A1 goes to elementary. So
Oh.
if the book said, I don't have a book, but here it's usually right here, just on back cover here, right? A1, A2. So my books are over there in the shelves. And so A1 goes to elementary. When it said A1 back of the storybooks or even course books, so it said, the level of the language is for elementary students. A2 goes to,
Intermediate.
no, pre-intermediate.
Int-
Okay? So
Господа, да,
A2,
Мира.
guys, would you please introduce yourself? Thank you. So A2 pre-intermediate.
Yeah. A2 is still elementary, pre-intermediate. Okay.
Yes, pre-intermediate. B1 intermediate, as you said. B1 intermediate. B2
Upper intermediate,
upper intermediate. C1
advanced,
advanced, very good. And C2 proficiency, like native speaker.
native.
C2, yeah. So talking about A1, which is elementary, it means the focus is on fluency and a little bit accuracy, but we'll just let our students talk. Even A2.
Sorry for being late.
Do you have a question? No? Oh, okay. Oh, I guess even maybe I cannot hear it well.
She said sorry for being late.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Good to have you here. Yeah, today there's a problem with the chat box. I said to the others at the beginning, I don't know why it disappeared, but I'm going to talk to WebEx just after the webinar. Sorry, I can't see the chat box, but please talk to me. So, guys, back to what we were saying. So A1 and A2, which is elementary and pre-intermediate, the focus is on fluency. Students start to talk the new language, a little bit accuracy, a bit accuracy. But from B1, which is intermediate, and B2, C1, C2, more accuracy. I mean, you correct your students, you have different activities for them, you practice that they use proper structures and jargons. Because now they become fluent, they can use the language, so they have to speak in correct way. What else you're working in conversation part? We need to teach our students where to use the expressions or jargons. For example, if they want to say, I know or I understand, it's important to tell them about the register, formal and informal. So we can say, okay, of course, all right, I see, or I got it. But in more formal way, you have to say, I understand. I know what you mean. I take your point. So good to tell them which one you use it in friendly talking and conversation, which one more formal. So we work on fluency and accuracy, and we consider tone and body language, also expressions. So each session, you can list few expressions and say, today we want to talk about this topic, and I want you to use these expressions. Like, instead of saying, I don't like it, I want you to use, that's not for me, or I'm not into it, or I'm not fond of it, or I dislike it, or I'm not crazy about it. So each session, they learn new expressions. Even phrasal verbs. We know in conversation, especially English, they use phrasal verbs a lot. So make a list of phrasal verbs based on the title or the topic that they have for the conversation in that session. Put it on the board or make a list and email it to your students and said, okay, today we are going to work on this topic and I want you to use these phrasal words. For example, you're going to interview someone, or we are making a conversation about working in an office. So you are going to take the role of secretary. So these are the phrasal verbs: get through, hang on, call back, break up, hold on, put through, hang up, cut up, pick up, speak up, and practice. So phrasal verbs. Now, what about expressions? Okay, here you have 3 expressions. You'll never be able to eat all that cake. What expression you will use to answer back? Or keep your options open? Or getting a quick summary of the story? Even idioms or expressions, what would you say for these 3?
For C, I would say to put it in a nutshell, or to make a long story short.
Very good. Very good. Make a long story short. Very good.
I have no idea for A and B.
Let's see what others say.
I just had it a minute ago. You can't have the cake. What is it? You can't have your cake and eat it too, or something?
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yes, very good. Very good. What would be keep your options open?
Maybe the forest. No, that's not it. I was saying
Don't
you-
go only for
Don't
one idea. Make the
don't
options
put
open.
don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Bravo.
That's
Very good. Very good. So you can say, okay, don't put all eggs in one basket or make a long story short. And here you say you'll never be able to eat all of that cake and say challenge accepted. There was a series on that, challenge accepted. Or maybe the other expressions, But here are some examples. So it's good to teach your students. It's session of conversation. So today you will learn these 2 expressions that make the conversation look more natural. Or even,
Sorry, because
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you because you can't see the chat box. Maria is asking you to speak a little bit louder. I think she has some problems.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Thank you for telling me. Yes.
Sorry.
Now, what about now? Is it fine? Is it okay now? Can you hear it better? Yes?
I can, but I don't know about Maria.
Oh, okay. So
But yes,
that's
anyway, it's a lot better now.
possible? How's it possible that you can see the chat box? I cannot. I don't know.
I have no idea.
I have no idea. Okay. Well, I'll say thank you very much.
You're
I'm
welcome.
going to
Sorry
speak
to
up.
interrupt.
Okay, I'm going to speak up. Here also, this is another way to practice. What are you doing these days? And your students start to talk. But you want to improve their accuracy. Just they use different structures. So you give them the red, see, the red words, you put it on the board, even in your online classes or face-to-face classes, at the moment, now, these days, at present. And so I want you to start your sentence with these expressions, okay? With these words. At the moment, and say, okay, guys, I give you 1 minute in parentheses. Always give your students thinking time. It is very hard just to start talk. They need to think. So, what are you doing these days? You have 1 minute to think, but I want you to start your sentences with at the moment, now, these days, at present. And they say, for example, at the moment, I'm trying to finish my TESOL course, yes. Now I'm trying to quit smoking. I'm trying to lose weight by doing aerobic dancing. Or these days, I'm very busy making sales calls to our clients. Or at the present, I'm looking for a new job. So that's another way to work on accuracy. What is the role? Oh, let me ask you first. What is the role of the teacher in conversation part? How can you, let me put it this way, how can you encourage your students to talk more?
By scaffolding,
Mm-hmm.
giving an example of what you want them to say, so they can use that as a guide to help them develop the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mash. That's very good.
I think selecting an interesting topic first.
Based on their interests and hobbies. Bravo.
Exactly.
I believe give them more space and comfort zone so they can talk more.
Yes. So, Hina, how can we do it? How can we make a comfort zone for them?
Like let them speak, let them give enough time so they can think, and when they feel comfortable they can start talk. Like, don't put pressure on them, like with lots of questions. One by one, take one initiative first, like this.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Very good point. Very good point. They feel comfortable in your class. Exactly. One way could be you put them in groups first. Okay, pair working or group working. So they have time to practice with their friends. Then they talk loud into the whole class. That helps too. Very good. Also, structuring talk. Make sure that all learners have a chance to participate. Usually sharp students start talking. And some people are introvert, they're shy to talk, so we need to have them a chance to talk. Otherwise, they never volunteer. So sharp student want to talk, fine, but also structure it and say, now let's talk in groups. Then I'll call your name. Also, avoiding talk loop. Sometimes it happens. One student says something and the other student answer. And again, that student ask another thing, the same student answer. Or it happens even to the teacher. Teacher says something, okay, because there's no response from the learners, the teacher something else. And maybe one sharp student answered, then the teacher starts talking to that sharp student. So what happened to the others? Okay, avoid talk loop. And open questions. When we ask yes, no question, they say yes, no, and it's finished. But it's good to have the conversation starts with WH words. Okay? So like where, what, who, why, how, when. So they need to elaborate what they're saying, they need to explain it. So it's much better to start the conversation with WH questions. And playing devil's advocate, deliberately talking on opposing or contrasting viewpoints to your class. For example, you go to the class and said, I believe women should stay at home and take care of their kids and they shouldn't work. And they become, no, they have to when they start talking because they want to convince you, no, ladies should work. Okay? So that we call it devil's advocate. Once I said it, guys, once I said it in the class and they just look at me and say, why do you work then? I said, oh, that was my mistake. My bad. Yeah.
You should have picked up another controversial.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So these are some suggestions to encourage your students to talk. What other activities you can take to the class for conversation? You can take different pictures. Pictures really talks loud. You can take one picture and teach many things. Or you can put your students in different groups and give one picture to each student and ask them to make a conversation or make a story and set it to the class for that picture. Even you can make it as a game. You put your students in pairs or in groups, give the picture to one of the students, and the other students should guess what is this picture about. So they start asking questions. Or vice versa. The person with the picture have to explain what is in the picture, but don't say what it exactly is. For example, it's about a job, firefighting. Okay, it's a firefighter. But the student starts to talk about the job, but don't mention exactly the job. So the other student should guess, oh, so that's firefighter. Good. So with pictures, you can have different activities. Also, group planning task. Put your students in groups and say, I want you to plan for Christmas holiday. What are you going to do and how and when and how many people will be on your trip? Who are you going with? So you have 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to plan for next holiday. So they start conversation. They have to talk to each other and plan for it. Then they set it to the group. Then they report it to the group. Or even you can, for higher level, you can ask them, okay, I want you to make a brochure, okay, or advertisement for next holiday for the other group to encourage them to come to your tour. So that's going to be for higher level. Even ranking tasks. So there are different conversation activities. Ranking task. You can prepare a list of items and the students have to talk about it. Like, what is the most useful invention in 2021 or in 2022 or in 1900? Okay. What was the most useful invention? Or what is the most useful invention and why? And they start talking because they have different ideas. So one say, for example, iPhone 13 or 14 is coming up, I guess. I guess 14 is coming up. So they say that, and the other group said, no, I believe microwave, the new microwave, because it's very different and you can keep the program outside of the house, out of house, and I believe it's more useful, and they start talking. Or what is the best improvement that could be made to our town? So talking about their city, this is for higher level. So that was for planning a holiday. And pyramid discussion. This is for the whole class. Students first decide for themselves to discuss with their neighbors, I mean in pairs. You put them in pairs and give them a topic. Then these two pairs becomes to four. I mean, they're going to be in a group of four. Two pairs, they come together, group of four. Then group of fours come together, so it's going to be group of 8. And then the whole class, they talk about the topic. Like this one, your ship is sinking and you have to swim to a small island. You can take only 5 things in your small bag or sack. What items will you take with yourself? So they're going to be in pairs of 2. they start talking what items they're going to take with themselves, 5 items. And they have to agree with the 5 items. They discuss for the 5 items. Then these 2 comes to the other 2, so they're going to be 4, and they discuss for 5 items. And they need to convince others why it's good to take a flashlight, but not your jacket or not your cell phone. After that, the whole class. So the whole class needs to talk to each other and give reason why 5 things, or why only flashlight, or what else? The jacket, or bottle, or sleeping bag, or something like this. So they convince each other why these 4, but not those. That's going to be a very good conversation in the class, and it's really fun. And here, if they are in lower level, so let them talk, but work on fluency. But in higher level, definitely accuracy. So how it works, give them the structure. And so while you're talking, I want you to use conditional type 2, or conditional type 1, or conditional, or even give reason. So I want you to say since, because, as, or if, I'll. So you can work on the grammar part here as well. Like this. Or must modal verb. To use modal words, and while you're talking, I want you to use modal verbs. So you're working on accuracy as well. So far, everything is clear for everyone? Do you have any questions? I cannot see the chat box, so.
The chat box is just at the bottom, right? You just click on the little bubble to see the chat.
Yeah, I click on it, but it doesn't come up, unfortunately.
I'm just wondering, this is the second meeting, right? But
Yes.
you're speaking about adults, right? Adult learners at these levels you were talking about? Elementary.
For teenagers and adults, yes.
Okay. Yeah. I was just going to add comment about what you were saying earlier about ways to get people talking. And yeah, I agree, because even children, like a lot of children are quiet and they like to work in small groups. Sometimes they'll be more chatty in a small group. And I use a lot of drama in my practice. So I really, really like using drama. And I have this game similar to what you were mentioning about getting them thinking, and I call it a create a story, and they have objects and they create a story with the objects, and they work as a team, kind of like I can have groups of 3 to 5, I guess, usually. And it's quite a fun little activity, and it works for all ages, I find. Where they have 4 objects in a bag and they have to figure out a mystery or like a story of some sort. And I'm not sure what level, because that's partly why I took the TESOL, was to figure out. I don't know, like I know when somebody's beginning, but when they're in the middle, when they're kind of able to speak, but they're working on, I don't know what level that would be, because that's partly what I want to learn about, is how to figure out. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you very much for sharing. Actually, we're going to have 2 sessions on teaching English to children. So we're going to focus on those activities which are suitable for children. We are going to have webinars on teaching to children. But thank you very much for sharing your experience. So you teach to children, am I right?
Yes, but I'm actually wanting to teach adults English. I already know how to teach kids English.
That's gonna help a lot.
But I'm interested in learners, people that from other countries that want to practice their conversational English. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Here's another activity for lower level. Look at this picture and make a conversation. And you ask your students to use these words. I want you to think about how, when, who, what, where. So you give them 1 minute for thinking time. Then you said, okay, now you start interviewing your friend. So where are they? What are they doing? Who are they? What time of the day? And how are they talking? Or any questions like this. Or you can say, I want you to take the role of these two. So you are the guy and you're the lady. So start to make a conversation. Here, the point is, in 21st, characteristics of 21st century learners, one is creativity and critical thinking. There are 4 C's that we call it. Are you familiar with those 4 C's, characteristics of 21st century learners? Okay, so I guess you said no. One is communicate. They call it 4 C's. 4 C's. Communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. So for communication in the class, give me an example for communication. What kind of activity you can have in your classes for communication part?
Role play.
Very good.
Can be a group planning task, as you just mentioned.
Bravo. The whole class discussion, for example, this goes for communication. What about collaboration? Can you think of collaboration?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry, there's people in my
Sure,
soul that are taking too much
sure.
space.
I said there are 4 C, they call it 4 C's, the characteristics of 21st century learners that start with C's: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. We teachers need to consider the 4 C's in our teaching. Okay, so working on communication, like having pair working or group working. What about collaboration? Can you think of any activities in the class where goes to collaboration?
Well, all things really. I mean, when you're working on a project, when you're if you're working together to create a play, working together, doing a research project together, that kind of thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Like games, huh? Like games. Bravo, or project then. Excellent. What about critical thinking?
Problem solving.
Can you think of any examples in the class?
Like you mean in an ELL class or generally? Yeah. So, well, if they were critical thinking involves, I always think of it more hands-on projects, but it's also problem solving. Like if they were asked a question, an open-ended question, and having everyone, there's a bit of collab and critical thinking, trying to come to asking questions and listening to other people's ideas and trying to kind of come to some consensus of what might be, I don't know. I'm
Thank
rambling.
you. Very good. Exactly. Thank you very much. Any others? Do you have any ideas?
Maybe I'm giving them like a picture or something, asking why they think or a topic, and asking why they think about something, why they think something is the way it is, for critical thinking.
Bravo. Bravo. Give you the reason or share their ideas. Excellent.
We can also introduce some cultural elements of that language, and we can introduce some cultural events or festivals and ask the students to discuss the cultural behavior of those native speakers and how we should communicate with the native speakers of their language.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What about creativity? What kind of activity you can think of for creativity to improve this characteristic?
Write a story, develop a story around something.
Yeah. What about this activity? Give them a chance to, or let me put it this way, give them a picture. For lower level, it's good to help them. You need to give them prompts. So that's why I put how, when, who, what, where. Definitely higher level, just pictures, good enough. So you put them in pairs or in groups. So you work on communication because they are going to talk. Collaboration, they help each other to make the conversation. Critical thinking and creativity, you give them time to find a conversation for this or to create a conversation for this picture. And it's going to be different. Each group makes a different conversation. So it works on their creativity as well. In traditional way of teaching, teacher used to explain everything to the students. It's like spoon feeding their students. So the students only followed or memorized everything. But in modern teaching, no, we just help our students, monitor them, let them find, let them think, let them follow their talent. And you just help them to improve. You correct them, help them to be on the right track and learn it better. So that's why it said, let them be creative. So when you give them, for example, assignment, we never put them in the box. You have to do this, or you have to answer these questions in 5 words or in 2 sentences. No, let them be creative. So you give them a topic. Maybe one of them wants to write about it, the other one wants to talk about that issue, or maybe they make a short video and they email you the short video, or they put some, for example, emojis like this. So just let them be creative. So that's one. Or here, for higher level, no prompts. So look at this picture. What do you guess? What's happening? I want you to make a conversation. So pairs of 2, one takes the role of the girl, the other one takes the role of the boy. Okay, and make the conversation. So pictures helps a lot. Now, for lower levels, we say, so far, you have to work on fluency, accuracy, correct structures, fluent with no hesitation, and expression, teaching them expressions and phrasal verbs. Now, what about the starters? For starters, when they want to learn a language, they have no ideas. Maybe they know some words, but they don't know how to put it in a sentence. So we need to teach them to talk. So what happened in starters and beginners, for starters and beginners, you have the dialogue. They need to practice the dialogue. How to teach the dialogue. Here is an example. Conversation in a restaurant, for example. Oh, give me a minute. Oops. Where's my conversation? Here. Okay, I'll come back for those. So you have a dialogue to teach. There are some steps in process. There are some steps for teaching. One is pre, while, post. So for teaching, we have 3 steps, no matter what you teach: speaking, reading, writing, or listening. There are 3 phases. We could call it pre, while, post. In pre-task activity or pre-task teaching, you put your students in the context. Why? Because when you put your students in the context, they start to think. They start to think about that situation. They can use their experience. It's very hard. Just you ask them questions, or you start talking about a topic that they have no idea at the very beginning. So we put them in the context so they can understand it, they can feel it better, they know what's going on. Then actual task cycle, or while teaching, in some books you see it said while teaching task. While teaching task is the part that you practice with your students, and post task review or post teaching task is a time that you get the feedback. So in pre, you put your students in the context and you present the lesson. While is a time that you practice, and post is a time that you get the feedback. And definitely you need to give them relevant homework. Why it is important to give them relevant homework?
To just review what they've learned, because if they don't review, they may forget everything they've learned.
Thank you, Hussein. Any other ideas?
Perhaps so they can start using it outside of the classroom setting and more in like an everyday situation so they can gain confidence.
Bravo, Crystal. Also that's another point. Very good. So when they review, as Hussein said, when they review what they learn in the class, they can remember it better. But also, as Crystal said, they have it in mind that in what real life situation they can use that conversation, or they can use those phrasal verbs, or they can use those expressions that they learn in the class. So in this way, they learn it better. They become more fluent. They become more fluent and more accurate. So here's an example. Look here. You show them a picture. Okay, everybody, look at this picture. This is for starters, lower levels, the level that start to learn the language. So what can you see in the picture? Who can you see in the picture? So what can you see in the picture?
Too tired, like a couple eating breakfast, I suppose. I don't
Okay.
know.
Thank
Kind
you.
of
Yes,
feeling
so
old.
that's
That's
good.
how I feel today.
Okay, maybe they say, yeah, anyhow, this is weekend. Okay, so maybe they say grandma and grandpa because they are lower levels, starters, and said they are eating. Oh, good, thank you. So you activate their background knowledge. So they know grandma, they know grandpa, they know eating. So I'm trying to put them in the context. So 2 people are eating something, but do they look happy or sad? Lower level, huh? Happy or sad? Do they look very happy?
Not happy.
No.
Not happy at all. Very good. You know, it's always very difficult to teach the lower levels because they don't understand the language. Yeah. So no, they are not very happy. Let's see what happened. Okay. So he said, what's for dinner? Okay, what's for dinner? And the other said, what is this? Can you guess? What is this? Do you know what is it? It's a very common sandwich in London or in Britain. They call it cheese on toast. Yeah, they call it cheese on toast. They put the cheese on the toast and they put it in a microwave. Okay, so what's for dinner? Cheese on toast. And what he said, he likes it?
No.
No, he said, I can't, oops, sorry. I can't stand cheese. I can't stand cheese. So when you say I can't stand it, means you like it or you don't like it.
No.
You don't like it at all. I can't stand it. Okay, I can't stand cheese. Okay, what about you? What can't you stand? For example, I myself, I really don't know. I can't stand cold tea. I don't like cold tea at all. I always like warm tea. So I can't stand cold tea. It's, yeah, I don't like it. What about you? And you start asking your students. So they learn, I can't stand. I can't stand. So this is the new expression in this dialogue, and you practice with your students. So in pre, I put the students in the context. I use a picture. So say, who are they, happy or sad? Because I want to say, I can't stand. Okay, what are they doing? They are eating. Then, after working on the new words, I can't stand or expressions, I need to work on tonality, intonation. So say, it's better to clap. What's for dinner? What's for dinner? What's for dinner? Or say, what's for dinner? What's for dinner? You know, WH, falling intonation. What's for dinner? It's not what's for dinner. No, that's wrong. What's for dinner? Or what's for dinner? That's wrong too. So we need to practice intonation. And you know, some letters, difficult pronunciation of some letters in English, for example, is difficult for other speakers of different languages, like W. So that's why many foreigners, they say what, because they don't have what sound, what. W sounds we, and in their language, they don't have it. Like Spanish, like Persian, they don't have what sound. So they say v, what's for dinner. So we need to practice as a teacher and say, okay, everybody look, what, there are stutters. So we need to practice. What, say it, what, wall, water, watermelon, window. So practice on pronunciation. What's for dinner? What's for dinner? Cheese on toast, cheese on toast. Oh no, I can't stand cheese. So they clap. What they call it chanting method. Chanting method. So they get the rhythm of the language. What's for dinner? Cheese on toast. Oh no, I can't stand cheese. That's one way to practice, to get the tone of the language. So for lower level, we need to work on pronunciation, we need to work on intonation, plus expressions and meaning of the words. Is that clear so far? No questions?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Hussein. If anybody writes anything in the chat box, let me know, please.
All right. Sure, sure.
I have those circle with the dots, but there's no option for chat box.
I can't even see you now.
Oh, really?
Yes. I don't know
How
about
come?
others, but I can't.
But can you hear me well?
Yes, now yes.
Oh, okay. There's an internet connection in this as well.
Right, that's fine.
Okay, so here's another example. Tell me something about your family. What do you want to know? Do you have any brothers or sisters? So here it rising. Okay. Do you have any brothers or sister? Yes, no question, rising. Do you have any brothers or sisters? Do you have any brothers or sisters? So we need to practice with our students. I have 2 older brothers and younger sister. So here, there's another thing for pronunciation. TH. W in English, TH and S at the beginning. These are challenging pronunciation for foreigners. They pronounce W like V, TH like T, and S at the beginning like S. So instead of school, usually foreigners say S school. Or instead, or for students, they say S students, S small. They put E at first because in their mother tongue, they don't have any words which start with sound. Like Spanish, I know a little bit Spanish, so that's why I bring it up. And Persian, they don't have sound at the beginning, any words. So they put E at the beginning, S. So as a language teacher, we need to practice with our students. And here, brothers, so they say brothers or brothers. So we have to practice is the. Put your tongue behind your teeth. Brothers, 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 and practice.
Another, this has happened to me when I knew a person from Italy. They had trouble with clothes. I put it in the chat. The word clothes, like clothing, close the door, and close to you. Like how close and close, right? Close is like a Z. And clothes. They have
Yes.
those are really difficult for a lot of I find language learners, but English language learners.
Thank you. Yes, you're right. That's another example. Thank you. So, do they look like you? Again, rising. Do they look like you? Do they look like you? Not really. Not really. Conversation, finish. Not really. Not really. Then what? Making it a little bit challenging for your student. So tell me something, and they have to say. This is the way that we practice. They have to repeat the new expressions, the new words. Tell me something about your family. What do you want to know? What do you want to know? WH question, Folly. What do you want to know? Then more challenging. Or part A, part B. So this is the practice time. So pre, while, post. In pre, we put them in the context. We ask them some questions, elicit something, activate their background knowledge. They have some ideas, they can understand it, they feel what's going on in the class. Number 2, practicing. So this is a while teaching text like this. They practice the new expressions, they practice the sentences. We work on intonation, we work on tonality, we work on pronunciation with our learners. No matter if, even if you teach Arabic, the same thing, the same thing. Work on pronunciation, tonality, and intonation. Then we give them practice time because we get to while. So we put them in pairs. They start talking conversation. They start having the conversation. They start talking to each other. And the teacher monitors. The teacher needs to monitor. So they go and then you go and listen to them. If they need any help, give them prompts and help them to correct. Okay, correct them. Or they even, they can correct each other. They can correct each other. Then we get to post. Post is the time that they stand up and have their role play, or they talk. Or they talk to the whole class. Or you can make it as a game. Now, 1, 2, 3, find a partner in their face-to-face class. Find a partner and ask about your siblings. Come on, you have 3 minutes. So they go and find someone. Or you can put them in closed pair, 2, in pairs of 2. Open pairs like these A and B talk. Then say change. Then they turn B and C talk. Okay, change. And then in front, B and D talk. Or they call each other back to back. That's another way. Or lines in your face-to-face classes, you put them in 2 lines. 5 students, line A, 5 students, line B, and they stand in front of each other. So line A, always the same, they stand. But line B moves, okay? So say, move. And then they say, so they talk to another person, okay? And then again, move. So they talk, the first one talk to another person. So many ways, just make it more fun. In your online classes, you put them in different breakouts. So breakout A, there are rooms, virtual rooms to put your students in, that they have a room to talk. So you can change the room. So room A, B, C, breakout A, B, C. So 2 pairs in breakout A, then you change it to breakout B or breakout C. This is practice time. Propose is a time that you get the feedback. And so okay, now, for example, Dorothy, you find someone at work or at your university. You want to ask about their siblings and family. How do you ask? Come on, you choose one of the students and they say, okay, I want to talk to Hussein. So you too, start talking. This is the feedback part or post. For homework, you can say, okay, for next time, I want you make a conversation at the library, make a conversation at the restaurant, make a conversation in a park, make a conversation on subway or on the bus. Imagine someone and I want you to make a conversation. They can even practice out of the class with their classmate and then say, yes, we too work on it and we have a conversation. Then they have it in the class and you can check it. Or maybe they want to write and email it to you. That's fine too. But the point is they use correct expressions and correct sentences and correct form of this. So close pair, open pair, back to back or lines. Here is another for pre-intermediate. For pre-intermediate or intermediate, you say, okay, I want you to look at this picture and say 3 sentences to your partner. Then your partner should reply and say their ideas about your sentences. Or I want you to look at this and make a conversation. So it's for higher level. There are here is a pair of the dialogue. I said, this is for children. So for children classes, I said lion, Mr. Monkey, and Miss Zebra, they're talking about their farm. What do you think they say to each other? So put them in pairs and they say. This is another conversation activity for children classes. Here, there are many apps and sites to practice. You can introduce to your students, like English Conversation and Fluent Learn language videos. These are apps. Also, there are, let me see if I can share. Okay. No, not this one. Okay. Give me a minute. Oh, let me share the site. Yeah, it must be here. Yes, there you go. So can you see it? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know how to share the. So it said New York Public Library. It said okay, I don't know where to send it, but maybe I can find a way. So here it said, when you click on it, there are many sites. Free website to practice English at home. In New York Public Library, you can find it. Free website to practice English at home. So there are many free websites. Let's click on one of them. For example, Duolingo. Oh, it's really good. So when it comes up, so here it said basic, then it goes to upper intermediate. So I'm working on French. This is for me, actually. I'm working on French. So I've just started. I'm at basic level. So when you click on it, it says start. It comes. Which one of these? The dog. Then when you click, it even practice you can practice the pronunciation. You have to listen, or so if it is right, they say check. Great, continue. If it's wrong, you have to choose another choice. Then later, this is for basic. After the words, it starts sentences. So that's one of them. Duolingo, or there are here. BBC Learning English, you can find many things here. So here, how to practice pronunciation, how to practice vocabulary, how to practice grammar, how to work on news. So here you have different news, how to practice and have conversation in your class. And for children, for adults, all of them, for business courses, or for example, here for pronunciation, here, vocabulary and pronunciation for children, for courses and different things. Even you can find free podcasts here for free podcasts. So
Will you put the list, like those links, in a separate email, or can you? I'm just wondering how to access them.
Yes, I'm very sorry for that. That I don't have the chat box, and I click on it, but it doesn't come up. So I'm going to find a way how to share with you guys. So why don't you send me or one of you send me an email, please? Do you have are you connected? I mean, do you have I don't know, somewhere that you are connected to each other? So one of you send me an email, I can share the things. I can share the link with you guys. Is it possible? Or maybe all of you send me an email. I will share it with all of you because I don't have your I don't have your email. Okay? Okay. I even can ask TESOL to put this in your module. Okay? Do you think it works?
Sure, thanks.
Good. No ideas why it goes like this, why it doesn't work today. I mean, this is the first time. But I will share the link definitely with you guys. Okay, now it's the time for asking your questions. If you have any questions, please